Man, with all the crazy stuff going on in this world, and I'm not just referring to quarantines and all this stuff with the pandemic, but all the other stuff that I think anybody can fill in the blanks towards what I'm talking about here. I just wanted to say, before we get things off here, fight for what you believe in. And for the most part, I think anybody who has been looking at the world and what has happened over the past few weeks can understand that there are other societal issues that present itself that have been issues for a very long time that we all need to take strides towards fighting against. So, because I have been sitting here in my chair reading Twitter for the past, let's just say I've been reading Twitter for too long, getting too involved into all of this stuff going on in the world, let's take a little bit of a step back and talk about the NHL and talk about some actually interesting news that was revealed to us a little bit earlier on TSN's Insider Trading panel with James Duthie, Pierre LeBrun, Bob McKenzie, and Darren Dreger. Now, this article, or excuse me, not really article, this video actually, I'll leave a link in the description below, revealed some really interesting info as to how the NHL and its teams are going to go forward as this whole Phase 1, Phase 2, Phase 3 thing goes. And for the most part, there are actually two very big ideas that I wanted to pull from this video to make videos about. The next video on this channel, uploaded in about 2 hours from now, will also go over a topic covered in this TSN video. But one of the things that was highlighted in this discussion over here from the guys on TSN was led by Pierre LeBrun. He says that he contacted the NHL and he asked, hey, what's the status on the 7 NHL teams that aren't included in either the play-in series or the final 16 for the 2020 Stanley Cup Playoffs? These teams, the Detroit Red Wings, the Ottawa Senators, the San Jose Sharks, the LA Kings, the Anaheim Ducks, the Buffalo Sabres, and the New Jersey Devils are all just in no man's land. And with the apparent ideas that the NHL may not restart again for the 2021 season until January, it gives a very big window of inactivity for these 7 teams to just sit back, wait for the draft, and not do anything in the process. So Pierre LeBrun reveals that he actually asked the NHL, hey, what's up with that? What can these teams do? What are they allowed to do? And what's the status quo of them at the moment? And he says, yeah, those 7 teams are actually allowed to start making trades now. Now, obviously, that's not something that anybody can expect to happen in a great volume in the near future, but the possibility is there, and the rules are saying that they're actually allowed to go forward with these ideas. So it kind of puts things into a weird status quo, where all 7 of these teams are allowed to just trade amongst themselves and make moves as they see fit today. But it's not something that a lot of people would say is something that is very likely to happen, because usually when you're waiting for the draft, you're waiting for the draft lotteries and all that stuff to happen, you want to trade with the biggest pool of teams available. You want to make sure that all 30 NHL teams aside from yours are paying attention and available to trade, because if you're offering something for another team and let's say another team swoops in and they're like, hey, we like that more, we'll give you a bigger package for this, then obviously you have to open yourself up to the possibility of getting more assets from other teams. But the way this is constructed right now, it appears that only these 7 teams are able to trade amongst themselves. And it's apparent that the other teams that are in the play-in rounds or already in the playoffs aren't included in that discussion here. So it opens the door up for more interesting talks to be had amongst the teams that have already been eliminated. And speculation has arisen over the past few weeks as to what these eliminated teams should be doing or would be thinking about doing as the NHL offseason, which isn't really started right now. It's not really the offseason yet. It's the offseason for them, I guess, because they're not going to do anything until the NHL season comes back next year. There's speculation as to what they could be thinking about, pretty much. If you want some really interesting insight here, there is a Spectors Hockey article from May 27 of this year where they go over the 7 NHL teams that aren't in the play-in rounds or the playoffs, and It gathers athletic articles, other beat reporter articles, and different statements on what exactly these teams could be looking at. So if we go over this, first off, starting off with the Anaheim Ducks, according to Eric Stephens on The Athletic, the biggest concerns for Anaheim involve Ryan Miller, whether or not he's going to come back, as well as interesting ideas on Rickard Rakell and Josh Manson, whether or not they're going to be trade pieces or whatever, if they're going to go long-term with these players, etc. That's definitely an interesting discussion to be had because the Ducks were always a really good team, but now they're not really doing too hot. And Rickard Rakell, Josh Manson, two very good NHL players that could potentially be used as trade pieces to get pieces for the future. It all depends on what the Anaheim Ducks are willing to do. Going over onto Joe Yerdon, he believes the biggest task facing Sabres GM Jason Botterill is re-signing winger Sam Reinhart. Now also aside from that, the Buffalo Sabres, almost the entire forward core pretty much, is either a UFA or an RFA, so there's going to be a lot of moves that are going to need to be done if the Buffalo Sabres want to build a team for next year that is up and away better than the team they had this past year. We talked yesterday about Jack Eichel and how he was so upset with the Buffalo Sabres and how they were able to perform this season, so much to the point where I said that I wouldn't be surprised if this guy requested a trade anytime soon. But with the NHL opening up its trade market to these 7 non-playoff teams, the Buffalo Sabres could be in a position where if they wanted to and if they really tried, they could build themselves a really good team with this time frame that they've been given. So we'll see what they do a little bit later on. Going over onto the Red Wings, there's a little bit of a talk about the Red Wings on whether or not they're going to be trading for more pieces and whether or not they're in a market to start trading for more pieces. Max Boltman from The Athletic believes that the biggest thing that they need to decide is the return of Jeff Blashill. That's already been confirmed by Steve Yzerman on a long press conference with the media over Zoom. That was on YouTube a few days ago. But also there's concern with RFAs and the potential of UFAs that'll be coming later on. We'll see if the Red Wings decide to do anything with this free time, whether or not they want to get some trades done. And then we also have the Los Angeles Kings. Lisa Dillman on The Athletic says that the Kings have sufficient cap space to make a big splash or perhaps a strategic addition to their roster. Rob Blake has also indicated that he would like to bolster the left side of his decor, so if the Kings would like to do that, then hey, you got yourself 6 other NHL teams that you can trade with, so if there's a market for that, then hey, we'll see if that comes to play sometime later on. Then we also have the New Jersey Devils. Their big questions lie on the interim GM Tom Fitzgerald, as well as the interim head coach Alan Nasruddin, and whether or not Corey Schneider is actually going to be an integral part of this Devils goaltending tandem as they go forward into the future. Also, concerns have arisen on defensemen and several wingers, so that's what Corey Massasak reports on The Athletic too. We also have stuff on the Ottawa Senators from Haley Salvian. With all the RFAs and Craig Anderson and all that stuff, there is a lot of concern as to what the Senators are going to be able to do there going forward. And we also have Kevin Kurse on the San Jose Sharks. He was reporting earlier about a potential Hurdle, LeBanc trade scenario, etc. And now he is talking about Aaron Dell, what's happening with him, and also some potential other changes that could be done at the helm of the Sharks organization. So there's a lot to discuss with all 7 of these teams. Obviously, though, I just kind of skimmed the surface of this entire idea because there are 7 different stories for 7 different teams, but the thing is, those stories have become available for feasting on by the NHL media and its fans because we now know that all of these teams are allowed to start making trades with each other. So comment down below in the comments below if you're a fan of any of these teams and what you actually want your team to do, because there are different scenarios and different trade possibilities for all these teams and the players involved. So I'm opening up the comments section for you to just have at it and comment down what your thoughts are on these trade ideas. So comment down below all your thoughts. Check out the TSN Insider Trading panel. It was a very, very interesting 4 minutes of discussion over there. Also check out the Spectres Hockey link in the description below for all the insight on these 7 teams. I hope you enjoyed this video. and bye.